What's going on, guys? It's Mitch from RespectMyRegion.com coming back live from the floor at MJ Unpacked here in Las Vegas. I'm here with Jacob Carlson of EzHire. How you doing today, Jake?
What's up, Mitch? Good to see you here across the country. My hometown's based in Boston, so long trip for me, closer for you, but here we are.
Well, man, we just had dinner in Boston, a week ago, about 6 days ago. So going from coast to coast, man. So, give me the brief intro of EzHire, how you guys make, recruiters' lives easier and what you guys are providing. What is the value you guys are giving to the cannabis space?
Yeah, we go by the mantra of being the Indeed for weed. Most hiring managers obviously work with Indeed, but there's some specific things that Indeed is kind of prohibitive to with inside of the cannabis industry. There's no video, there's no cannabis-based skills, and a lot of people who apply for cannabis jobs don't necessarily have an idea of what working in the cannabis industry is like. So they get a lot of people who apply and aren't necessarily good fits. That's where we come in and help them find high-level candidates, smaller group of people to hire from, and then be able to have them hire them from there.
I love that. And so I know obviously you live in Massachusetts. Well, you're back and forth between Massachusetts and Florida, and those are two big markets you operate in. As legalization is spreading the country, new markets are getting added to this. How are you staying on top of staying in these markets, whether it's the sales outreach or just building brand presence in so many new markets?
Yeah, it's a great question, and there's probably not two markets that are polar opposites than Massachusetts and Florida, right? There's a limitation of 3 locations in Massachusetts. In Florida, you have about 15 licenses with anywhere between 2 or 3 locations up to, maybe 100 or a couple hundred that they're kind of growing out. So those 2 different markets are just as well to be able to see how those 2 different operations can run in the legal cannabis market. Obviously, Massachusetts is more recreational. Florida is also only medical. So a bunch of different ways to do it. I think we're all waiting for this federal legalization potential that might happen that would change the game for everybody. One of the big mistakes actually we made this year was trying to roll out into too many states, right? We rolled out to 14 states, which was too much. Understanding how those different ecosystems exist kind of had me crawl back and go back to Massachusetts to the people I knew, people I grew up with, that sort of thing. Also a great market, but the understanding of those different markets, it's a completely different ballgame. And if you're not navigating that, you're kind of going to waste a bunch of your time like we did, and maybe a bunch of your money as well. So some of the differences.
That happens. And so obviously you've got the corporate and the tech background, but you also have some legacy background, and we're very, EzHire got its start in the medical market in Maine. Yeah, Maine, which is the legacy of the East Coast. Sure. So how has it been watching that transition come from those early days in Maine medical to now convention floor, Las Vegas, full scale? That corporate world that you also worked in is kind of creeping in and having some influence in this space.
Yeah, I think you mentioned my corporate background. I worked at a company called Hubspot for about 7 years, huge CRM, SaaS platform. The big difference, I think, between the legacy market and the corporate market is finding some sort of middle ground between each of them, right? The legacy people are still growing the best products. They're still understanding how that process works, similar to how a developer would be, right? Developers and legacy operators work very similar, and from my experience with that, and you got to kind of work with them the right way, right? They're very intelligent. They're very analog based versus maybe somebody like myself who is less analog based, right? So the idea of that is being able to communicate with these legacy brands and understanding that, if you can get a higher quality product, that's still going to be able to attract those customers that are willing to pay more, right? So that's the middle ground. What we're seeing right now is the legacy people kind of having to kind of bring themselves closer to the more corporate market, but also the corporate market understanding hey, there's probably 200, 300 different cultivators that are literally the best in the world, right? And if we're not respecting that craft, we're not kind of, nurturing that craft, we get left in this situation where $5 Ace are talked about in Massachusetts, or the black market making a resurgence. I don't think that's good for any of us, sort of thing. And I think there's an idea that we both have to try to work together to make this stuff work. And hopefully people like myself and you can start to build that bridge between the legacy people, the people who used to carry packs, and the people who went to get their MBA at Harvard, right? We got to figure out ways to work together. So excited to be a bridge for that. That's kind of what we represent as well. And thank you so much for helping us build our brand around that, like you have as well. And I just appreciate it. So.
Yeah, we got to honor and respect the legacy, man. There's nothing wrong. There's friction and tension between both worlds, but I'm very much of the same belief. We need both of them, and there needs to be that bridge between the two. Obviously, this is your second MJ Unpacked, you guys?
Third.
You third.
Yeah. So we bumped into MJ Unpacked the first year instead of going to MJ BizCon, and it's been an incredible experience basically ever since I actually talked about that to Wendy and George a little bit, how it gives us an opportunity, right? We're not heavily funded. We're not making millions of dollars as far as a business goes, but we can get a booth. We can kind of be on the same playing field as our competitors who have millions of dollars of investments and much bigger teams. It just gives us an opportunity on a level playing field versus a yacht party or a party at Fontainebleau, right, in Miami. We can't do that, but we have the software and the tech to be able to help people and solve people's problems. That's why we're here, and that's what is exciting about MJ Unpacked for somebody like myself. So.
I love that. Jacob Carlson, EzHire. We're on the North American Weed Tour looking at the best in legal cannabis across the map. Met this man on the East Coast just 6 days ago. Less than a week later, we're over here parlaying on the West Coast, man. Cannabis is moving. Thanks very much, Jake. We'll be back with more content here soon, guys.
Thanks, Mitch.